All right, everybody, welcome back to another edition of Golf DMV. Of course, brought to you in part by Cache Spine Sports, the official chiropractor of Golf DMV. You can check out all the information you need on Dr. Smith by going to our website, conveniently located in Silver Spring, Maryland. We've got some shout outs to do. Oh, and Golf DMV may also have an official watch sponsor. We will not mention it until they send us that money and they send us those watches. Now, they may send us the watches and not the money, in which case you'll have to follow us on Instagram to see the watches. But if they send us the watches and money, then we'll talk about it on the show. But we'll have more on that. We like transparency here. Golf DMV is a family. It's a community. And no, we won't share any of the money with you. And maybe I'll sell my watch if anybody wants to. We wake up in the morning and do things to make money. Like we want revenue. And so if I'll wear the watch, I'll take some pictures, multiple pictures. And so the company will think I still have it. And then I'll sell it to someone else to make me more money. And there'll be promo codes and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, but we'll see what happens with that. But we've got some shout outs to do. LB, for folks who have been listening, they may have noticed two new things. They noticed a new voice on the show, and they noticed new music. The new music comes from who? LB.
That music, the new music, intro music you hear on our podcast, it comes from DJ King C. Mm-hmm. You can find him on Instagram and Bolo Kitchen _2.0. That's BOLO Kitchen _2.0. Or you can Google King C on Instagram, and he is the producer, creator of our theme music, and we'd like to thank him for putting it together for us.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, sir. And the new voice is a woman by the name of Tiffany Johnson, who works at a radio network where I work, and she used to do radio stuff, but now she does more administrative stuff. And I had her working on a project and just like reading something for something else. And then I heard this voice. I was like, wait a minute, I love this voice. And the sister's trying to get back into doing voice work and stuff like that. I said, well, let me put you in the most popular podcast in Washington, D.C., and possibly in the world. And so she said, well, which one is it? And she started naming all these shows. She said, no, Golf DMV. And so she said, oh, okay, I guess I'll do it. And so she thought I was talking about some other show. But anyway, thank you, Tiffany. And if anyone else out there has voice work or need music, we will put you in contact with these people. Absolutely. And you won't have to pay us for it. We'll leave it up to them to pay us for the referral, bringing them business. And so it won't even cost you anything. Going to cost them something. So we got a lot to get to today. We have an interview with golf instructor Cathy Kim. We did this a few days ago. It had already hit the radio airways. It already hit 1500 AM this past weekend. It's going to be played on this podcast here. But first, we've got some important stuff to talk about, like Brooks Koepka deciding if no one wants to win this tournament this week here, this Waste Management, I'll just do it with a very impressive. I think he shot 65 on Sunday, right? And so we were out at 5 Iron Golf in Baltimore, and we're watching this whole thing. I noticed that I said we because I was there this time, and we'll talk a little bit about that. Glenn wasn't there this time either. But so anyway, I was no, I don't know if Glenn was there. I'm just around. So we were out there at 5 Iron, and we're watching this whole thing because we figured Jordan Spieth was going to fall, because it's just like the golf gods to make him feel like he's close, that he's going to win, and then snatch it from him on Sunday. And like we said in this podcast, until he comes to grips with that quote years ago about him being on the leaderboard strikes fear in the hearts of golfers, the golf guys aren't going to let him, do anything.
Yeah. To that point, I was texting the fellas in the group text. Even the bettors were just so disrespectful with Jordan Spieth. So he's the round 3 leader coming in round 4. Usually the way it works when they update the betting for the night before, they'll do a bet like whoever's in the lead, like they'll do like the top 2 spots versus the field, and you can take that. So it'd be like Jordan, I think, and Xander at the time. Didn't even do that. The bets was Xander Schauffele or the field, and then it was Xander Schauffele to win. There was no bet. You couldn't even bet against Jordan Spieth to lose because the people put too much money. They would have lost his shirt. So they said, no, we didn't. They didn't. It was disrespectful. They put the second place guy in there and said, well, he's not going to win. So there was no money coming in on Jordan Spieth. So everybody was like Claude said, just waiting for him to walk back.
Yeah, even back is exactly what he did.
Yeah, even on Friday when I was watching the tournament. So I watched it on Sky Golf out of Europe, and I don't know this announcer's name, but I wrote it down because it caught me totally off guard. It came Friday at 1:12 p.m. He stated, this TV guy said of Jordan Spieth, he's the most popular figure in golf outside of Tiger Woods. That was his quote. Goodness. And it caught me dead in my tracks. I'm like, he said what? What are you smoking over there?
Well, maybe he just woke up from a coma from like 2010 or something.
Right. I'm like, dude, what are you talking about? This
Yeah,
dude has been so
about.
far forgotten about the last 5 years now. How long it's been? Yeah. Nobody's thinking about that guy.
I mean, and to be honest with you, like, and he's in the public eye right now in the last few years because he lost it and he can't seem to get it back.
Because
and I mean,
he sucks.
And just watching social media over the weekend, so many people were like, I really hope Jordan breaks through. Oh, yes. I want him to win. But there was so much Spieth sympathy out there. And I'm like,
like I saw a lot of Spieth hate on Instagram. People like Vern was talking about, people was like, oh, he ain't gonna do nothing. He gonna do the moonwalk as soon as they tee it up on Sunday. He ain't got no chance. I mean, everybody was coming back at that he didn't have a prayer in hell to win that tournament.
I do feel like, because of what he said, Claude, that if you took a poll right now, like, who's the people's champ? Who are we rooting for the most? The people's underdog, I should say. Who are we rooting for the most between Ricky and Jordan? Ricky would run away with that. I feel like, more pros are just like, oh, we want him to win a major.
Even Tony, you put top 10 Tony in that category.
Top 10 Tony. He's a little bit newer, but Ricky's it's been so long. It's been so long for him. But we'd be remiss not to talk about you mentioned Brooks at the top. It's been, I think, since 2019 when he won the what was it, Wyndham? I can't remember his last tournament. It's been a minute.
Yeah. Well, the last three tournaments he played in, he missed the cut. Yeah. So he went 3 straight missed cuts and then I'll win.
Yeah. So Brooks takes that win. And I mean, like I said, coming out of nowhere in that final round. Meanwhile, in an earlier time in the land, far, far away, Dustin Johnson wins. And I guess he and Tony Finau were tied. Yeah, and we just knew that Tony was, he's going to finish second. And by the way, listen, I mean, we say a lot of stuff here, but we don't even play from the tips. So I mean, you can take it for whatever it's worth. I mean, we're not really dogging these guys. These guys are top because it's interesting because we talked about. I think we talked about this at 5 Iron when I was present for that one, and when we talked about like when we say certain athletes choke, and it's like, you know what, when you get to the top level of something, there's already a certain amount of choking, like that. I mean, because most of us would choke like sometimes in money games or if we had a chance. Okay, Claude, here's one hole. All you have to do is bogey this hole, and you get to play on the PGA Tour. And I wouldn't bogey the hole. I mean, it just wouldn't happen. Bogey or better, and and it would because you really harp on this a lot, Vern, when it comes to that competition and that mental state and that pressure. Right. These guys have already dealt with pressure. They've already dealt with a lot being on the line. They're the top of the game, so there's a level of choking that they don't do. For the most part, but then it's just something about that next level thing, and it's almost like you see, like in video games, certain levels, you know what I mean, and it's like what is it going to take to help Tony get past that next level? You know what I mean? I do.
I would compare it to a muscle. I think that's having asked the question a bunch of times. It seems to be like there's this competitive. Like you said, you start by, hey, I just shot a really low round. I put up 65 just playing with the boys. Cool. Wasn't nervous. You didn't choke it up on the back. I think I can play competitively. You do a club championship. You keep going. You do college. Like you said, the muscle is like, oh, how strong are you? Cool. I was strong enough to get to college level. Oh, couldn't get my Q-School card. I just kept flaming out. That's where you end. PGA pros, like you said, are strong enough. They have that competitive muscle to outlast competition at all levels and get to the top. But not unlike a weightlifter, getting from, like me, I was super weak with like getting from, being able to lift 100 pounds to 200 pounds. Okay, you can probably do that reasonably. But when you start getting to the maxes of like, you're squatting 800 pounds and you want to squat 805, the distance between that 800 and that 805 could be long. The distance between being, 70th on the PGA Tour and being first could be, for somebody like James Hahn, it could be almost insurmountable. Like his competitive muscles maxed out. Because Hahn, bro, when I looked up and saw him in the lead, I was like, oh, okay. I thought he was going to run
a 2-stroke lead.
Yeah, I was like, oh, he's got this in the bag. And then water, and then he's right. And I was like, oh, and look, I hate to be demeanor guy, like body language guy, but that's I like watching just to see how they react. And he just didn't look. There was nothing about him where I was like, oh, yeah, he's got this in the bag. He's confident. Exactly. He looked like he was pressing.
Shoulders got slumped. Yep.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Brooks, I feel like is just walking around They showed a picture of him making a birdie. He kind of looks up at the leaderboard, just like, oh, I guess, like we said, I guess I'll win then. I guess.
Yeah. If y'all don't want it, I'll take it.
All these names moving up and down to the top. I'll just stand there, guys. I got it.
Yeah. Like,
man is here.
Nobody wants to take this. All right, well, I'm in the hunt. All right, why not? I'll just
chip in for you. Why not?
Absolutely. But DJ wins again on the European tour. DJ's, I mean, right now he's the best golf. He's the best golfer in the world right now, right?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. In my book,
like he's not even trying. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So he comes back. Well, just quickly at the Saudi International. DJ won. Second place was Rose, and top 10 Tony tied at -13. Victor Hovland was there. He was at sixth place at -11. DeChambeau actually played out there as well. He was 18th at -8. They hated Sergio, 12th place at -9. Phil Mickelson, -1 for tied for 53rd. And Patrick Reed was out there as well.
Really?
Because he had just won last week, right? Yeah. Week before last, right. So he was out there. He shot +1 overall and finished tied for 66. So I really would like to, and I looked, but I could not find what their appearance fees were. Because especially with Patrick just winning the week before and then having to make that flight over there, because normally when those guys win, they take the next week off unless it's the Masters, something crazy.
Right.
A regular tournament, they just like, nah, I'm not playing. I just won. I'm taking next week off. But so it was enough money that he's like, hey, I'm going to get this money.
And something tells me he doesn't have a whole lot to do, like family engagements and stuff like that with his parents.
Right.
So why not follow with
right. I also wonder about this too. So because like I said, this is put on by the Saudis. There's a lot of government stuff. So to your point, it'll be about the money. Like, how embarrassing would it be if they're just like, cool, we're doing the Saudi Open for 2022, and they just put up a board with the names they want, because they want certain stars,
right?
So it's like, cool, Dustin Johnson, you coming? Cool, bet. Here's 20 mil. Here's this, and then they run out of maybe other guys want to play the Waste Management or whatever, and then it gets down to like James Hahn and me and you and the club. It's like, we got to fill out the field, guys. We'll pay for your airfare, and we'll put you up in the Motel 6 and give you like $1,000 for per diem.
Yeah.
Is that
works.
He's getting $5 million. Do you want to play over here now? Okay.
Yeah, I'm on my way.
And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sure it worked out something similar to that. So LB, back here stateside. Brooks wins. Do you have a Manny Millions for?
Yes, I do. I do. Mr. Aaron Wise. Not familiar with him. He finished even for the tournament. He won $15,549. Mr. Wise is 6'1", 182 pounds, and a young 24 years old.
Okay.
He's graduated from University of, I'll take that back. He went to school at University of Oregon. I'm not sure if he graduated or not. He's originally from Cape Town, South Africa. He moved to the United States at the age of 3. Of course, he lives now in the golf capital of the United States, Jupiter, Florida. So let's go quickly through his stats, and then we'll give you a little bit more about his personal life, which is very limited. He was pro in 2016 PGA. All right, he has one win, which was a 2018 AT&T Byron Nelson. I think that is the AT&T Byron Nelson. I can't think now. I know it's AT&T something.
I'll look it up.
2018. No, don't look it up, because then you might see some numbers.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Just know it was in 2018. Whatever it was 2018, the AT&T tournament, whatever that was. He has 2 second place finishes, 1 third place, and 9 top 10s.
He's making some money.
Right? Out of 85 events, he's made 47 cuts. So what is his career earnings? For 2016, and to be fair, 2016 and 2017, he only played in I think he played 6 tournaments in 2016, 20 PGA tournaments, because he was still going back and forth with the Korn Ferry.
Right.
And then in 2017, he maybe 10, and then in 18, he played like a full season.
All right, so Claude, you won last. So do you want me to go first, or you want to go first?
I'll go first. First. So that one win,
2 second places, and 1 third, 9 top 10s,
9 top 10,
and 47 out of 85 events he's made the cut.
Okay. I'm gonna give you 11 million.
Okay.
I had it at 7, LB.
Okay.
Watch it 7.8.
6.2.
Oh,
6.2. 6.2.
That's right.
Vern,
I offered
back in the
you
winning
the first time to
circle.
go first. As soon as he started doing it, I was like, I got this number. I got this.
Yeah,
jump
going
today.
under.
Let's go.
Just go under him. You'll be fine. Yeah. So a little bit about Mr. Wise. He loves to go fast. So he likes go-karting and roller coasters. These are some of his favorite things to do.
Oh, to be 24.
Right. I used to like roller coasters too when I was 24. Favorite players to watch growing up playing golf was Ernie Els, Retief Goosen, sorry, and of course Tiger Eldrick, RV Woods. Yeah, so
and there you have it.
That's it for Manny Millions this week.
What did we say last week? That the Manny Millions will turn it into.
We're gonna do the top 10.
If you place 10th.
Yeah, called the top 10 Tony Award. Who got the top 10 Tony Award?
Yeah, the top 10 Tony Award. That's we go.
Yeah.
I had to write that down. We forgot that.
So we got out to 5-iron golf this past weekend. You guys had been there already. I had
in another snowstorm.
And LB being very courteous and generous and slightly sarcastic, offered to pick me up again. As if I'm a fragile being who needs. I was like, no, man, we're good. And so we met out there. My first impression was I love it. I mean, listen, I told LB and Verse, I may never play golf outside again. Like I may never go to a court. I may just always go. We've got the 5-iron spot. We've got the place in Columbia that's open now.
Yeah,
I don't have a reason to go outside and play. I mean, because you don't want to go out there when it's 35 degrees outside, 40 degrees outside. Who wants to go out there and and walk around Laytonsville when it's 100 degrees outside with humidity make it feel like 115? I'm never going out again. I do think that the way the simulator thing was set up, like everything kept hooking right, and you guys know hooking right is not my miss. Like I don't hook right. I'll slice left, but I don't hook right, and every shot was hooking right. I had to like dramatically open up my stance and stuff to make it go straight because. As opposed to trying to figure it out and still hit straight, I just do weird things with my swing to try to work it out, which is a bad habit that I shouldn't do. But we ended up playing Pebble Beach.
Yeah, mistake.
Yeah,
a little bit. Listen, to say it was a bloodbath is putting it nicely, everybody. I mean, because it got ugly real quick. More on a simulator from tees that we picked, and it is. So I'm looking forward to watching this week.
And we didn't even finish, didn't we?
We didn't finish. We ran out of time. Yeah, we ran out of time because we were re-hitting so many penalty shots. I went in the water probably like 4 times on one hole. There'll be an Instagram video up of something we did. We did a close to the pin on a par 3. But I'm going to enjoy watching this week, and I don't even want to see coverage of the regulars. I want to watch the back of the pack.
Right.
I want to watch people I haven't even heard of. If I can feel good, be like, yeah, see, that's me too. I was too. Yeah. But again, you heard us go listen to the previous episode about the 5-iron review. Great spot. I asked Claude what he thought. I think you said you had a good time though, right, Claude?
Yeah, man, had a great time. Time there. Now I'm not playing outside again. It's a nice spot.
We lost them.
Comfortable couches, room temperature stuff. I mean, you've got food in the bar. I mean, it was just why play anywhere else? Why play outside? No, just stay inside. And just does anybody remember who had the low score when we left last week? Well, anyway,
no, I don't remember. No idea.
No, probably all tied.
Yeah, probably all tied.
Well, anyway, let's transition to Cathy Kim. You can find information on Cathy Kim at Cathy Kim Golf. Had a chance to sit down, and man, this was like a delightful interview. Man, we had a lot of fun with Cathy Kim. She teaches out of 1757. Again, her website is Cathy Kim Golf. You can also follow her on Instagram and Twitter at Cathy Kim Golf. But folks, here we go. Here's the interview: Golf DMV and Cathy Kim. All right, everybody, it is my pleasure to bring on to the show, not just my pleasure, by the way, it is Vernon Brown's pleasure and Lawrence Brooks' pleasure as well to bring on Cathy Kim. We were trying to figure out how to introduce you, Cathy, like literally right before the show. Said, well, PGA, LPGA professional, PGA coach, golf instructor, and Lawrence came up with the best title. He said, what did you say, Lawrence?
The fabulous Cathy.
The fabulous Cathy Kim, ladies and gentlemen. You can find more at CathyKimGolf.com. Also, one of the best golf follows on social media. I don't know if you're on Twitter and Facebook, but I know you're on Instagram because that's where I see a lot of your videos. Cathy, are you on Twitter as well? I mean, they can find you at Cathy Kim Golf on Instagram. What are the other handles?
You can find me on Twitter and Facebook. I'm not as active on Twitter only because I feel like that's a totally different animal. And I really don't like to get caught up in a lot of the conversations on that one. So, so Yeah, especially after the whole Patrick Reed thing. So, yeah.
we just had an extensive discussion on Mr. Patrick Reed, by the way.
Yes.
But anyway, yeah, enough about him. More about you. Yeah, what are those Twitter handles?
So you can find me at Cathy Kim Golf pretty much on any social media platform. And my website is cathykimgolf.com.
And if you go to our website, cathykimgolf.com, you will understand why Lawrence says we should call it the Fabulous Cathy Kim. Congratulations on being one of Golf Digest's best young teacher. I think that was just recently, right?
Yeah. It was,
What was it like getting that information? I mean, getting that, them saying, hey, you're on the list.
Yeah, I freaked out a little bit. It was pretty surreal. But you know what? It was a very, very proud moment for me, mainly because I was so used to seeing a lot of, males on the list predominantly, and then, let alone Caucasian males. So to be on the list as an Asian female, it was definitely rewarding. And I was like, oh, I must be doing something right in my career, right?
Yeah. Now we talked a lot about you on Instagram, a lot of the videos. Like, did you have to get more active on social media and innovative and pivot a little bit in 2020 because of the pandemic with your coaching and how you deliver services to your students?
Absolutely. The pandemic was kind of a double-edged sword, I think, for the golf industry. It's unfortunate that we weren't able to go out and do our normal stuff, but the golf industry just blew up. So it was actually a great opportunity to get creative with not only the videos for social media, but everybody wanted to come take a lesson. So it was really awesome the way that it took a pandemic for people to pick up the sport. I don't know how you want to think about that, but it definitely made me a little bit more creative on how I was supposed to deliver my content. But other than that, everybody wanted to learn. And I thought it was just so cool that people just want to come out and try it out, and once they try it out, they love it. So, yeah.
And you have options for virtual lessons. How does a virtual lesson differ? Obviously, not being face to face, but as a coach, as an instructor, how do you have to pivot like that as far as like with, it's not face to face, but here's how I can still help you with your swing if we like the Zoom lesson or something.
Yeah, for sure. So there's actually, I offer two different types of lessons. One is a swing analysis, which is you sending me 2 videos of your swing, one head on, one down the line. I do an analysis recording for you, and I turn it back to you within 48 hours. Super, super quick. I don't actually ever get into direct contact with you. It's for the people that just want kind of like a quick update or a quick tip for their swing. The Zoom video, the Zoom calls are more the same thing. You send me your videos in, but then it's a half an hour call, and we sit there and we analyze it together. And we come up with a game plan. So I get the most common question I get about that Zoom lesson is, hey, do I have to be on the driving range live with you? Or can I, is there any other way to do it? Because a lot of people are pretty uncomfortable bringing a camera or they're, setting up their phone for recording anyway. So
Vernon's not.
Look, Cathy, if you've seen the guy at the range who has he gets out with his bag and then takes out like a mini studio. Yeah, that's me.
Yeah.
I'm liking it all back there.
I saw one of those guys the other day on the putting green. So yeah.
Yeah, no, cool. That's a great service to offer. So, you here in the DMV, you teach out of 1757. Kind of have a love-hate relationship with that place. Listen, so number one, the practice area there in short game, it's probably the best out of any public course here in the DMV.
Yeah.
But the course is deceptively, to your eye, it doesn't seem like it should play tough, but it plays tough. Talk a little bit about that practice facility and just 1757 in general. Do you play there a lot too, or are you just kind of instructing?
I try to play everywhere as much as I can since I'm still relatively new to the area. But yes, I try to go out and play my own course. The course itself is pretty tough because it's tight and there's water and it's usually pretty windy. So it's kind of a combination of, I guess, everything that an amateur player wouldn't really want, as part of their golf course. But as far as the practice area goes, we have a really huge driving range. We have some covered areas of the driving range. We also actually have 2 grass tees as well. So if you join one of the membership options that they have at 1757, you have access to the grass tees. And then on top of that, we have a pitching practice area with 2 greens. And one of the greens, actually, you can extend out to hit 50, 60, 70-yard shots, which is my favorite part of the whole practice facility, is that little area over there. So, and then we have a ginormous putting green that's open to the public. So great place for an academy, great place to give lessons. And I think the way that they've set up that place has really shown that, very receptive for player development, for sure.
Nice. Now, we talked a lot about your coaching now, but let's go further back. I mean, you had a really outstanding collegiate career. Talk about how you got into golf. Talk about, college, and then, the LPGA Q school and all, and Symetra Tour, all that stuff, man.
Yeah. So, yeah.
I'm sorry, what was that, Vern?
And while you bring it, can you highlight in there, where was it in your backstory that you knew that you were really good at golf? Was it high school? Was it college? Was it somewhere in between, a tournament, a series of tournaments?
Because something tells me when I say 1757 is difficult, it's different from you saying it's difficult. By difficult means like I'm shooting about like a 90s or something like that. But for you, it's probably like, closer to like 69 or 68.
Oh, goodness.
But anyway, I'm sorry, go right ahead. Take us to the beginning.
So I started golfing. My dad actually was the one that kind of threw me into APGA professional run golf camp when I was really young. It was actually just more of a means of babysitting on his part while he went to go play golf. So that was that. But thank goodness he did that, right? Because, come full circle, now I'm a PGA professional. I'm able to teach younger students, just like those PGA professionals did for me. It basically started off as a fun thing until one of the instructors offered me free golf lessons. He was like, "Hey, I think I see something in your golf swing. So do you want to come and start taking some lessons?" And I was like, "I don't know. I have to ask my dad." So, of course, my parents were like, "Oh my gosh," every parent, hoping that their kid has something going on. They were like, "Yeah, absolutely. Let's throw her into golf." And then the next thing I know, I play my first golf tournament. I think I shot in the 90s, my first golf tournament, and I didn't know what that meant. It was literally just, just hitting a golf ball. And after that, it was literally nonstop competition from middle school, high school, college, post-college. And did I ever know that I was good? No.
No, you did.
No.
I mean, when specifically? There had to be like a tournament where you just dusted somebody like 7 strokes. You looked around and said, I think I can do this. Like,
I was winning a lot of junior events, right?
Okay.
Like locally and some of them regionally. I grew up in Northern California. So I guess, but the thing about golf is that you're constantly being compared to other people, right? You're constantly, like, it doesn't matter how good you are, because there's always that next
Somebody's
person
better.
or somebody next to you. Yeah. So I think it was particularly worse with girls golf, just the way that the dads would kind of pit their daughters against each other, that kind of thing. So yeah. It's a different atmosphere, boys and girls golf. So when did I know I was good? I mean, I knew I was pretty good. I didn't know if I was like exceptional, but I also knew that, especially graduating from college, I knew that if I didn't want a real job yet. So when my parents, they were like, "Hey, we'll give you a year to kind of figure out what you want to do." I said, "All right." And, my parents by any means are not wealthy. They still own a dry cleaners, work 6 days a week, even to this day. So just knowing that they were willing to, throw up some funds and give me an opportunity, I took it. I still worked at a golf course, though, part-time, just to be able to have a place to practice. And that's when I first started teaching juniors and doing junior camps. And I'll never forget, there was this one little girl. The first time I saw her eyes light up when she hit like a beginner golfer, right? She's like 8 years old. She hit the ball up in the air. And I was like, wow, this is an amazing feeling, because she was so excited. And I was like, oh man, okay, this is kind of neat. So next day I was so excited to go back to summer camp. And I think that's kind of where I started growing my love to teach. And so unfortunately, Q school didn't work out. Mini tour was expensive at the time. It still is now, but it was expensive at the time. And I decided that I wanted to get into the PGA program. So I started that, quickly found out there weren't a lot of people that were females in the program. Everybody was mostly men, but it was still good. And so here I am. It was kind of it's just that moment. It only takes one, right? To really go, oh my gosh, this is what I want to do. And it was that particular moment with that little girl who her eyes just lit up. And it happens over and over again when I'm working now, where somebody hits the ball amazingly for the first time and they're like, okay. And they're hooked after that. So you're going to see them week in and week out after that. So
when it finally clicks in, for the video lessons on your phone, I just imagined you I know you're not doing this because you're professional, but it couldn't be me because it'd just be like trash. And then you scroll back like, oh, wait, oh. Not trash. Still, at least that's my swing.
People will DM me their videos, right? They'll be like, I need help and I need you to take a look at my swing. And I'm like, well, it's not like a quick thing. Right. So if you'd like a lesson, then you can go to my website.
Yeah, like I can't fix stuff. Just like
send me your credit card information and we can get this done.
Pay for it a little bit, but it's so funny because some people will actually just try to describe their golf swing. They'll be like, "Hey, I'm slicing the ball. Can you fix it?" And I'm like, "How long have you been playing golf? Right. That's not how it works."
Right. No, exactly. But one thing I love about your teaching philosophy, though, like to that end, is the fact that you say like everybody's swing is different. Like, I can't teach you like this is the way you are supposed to swing. You kind of it seems like you work with people's natural I guess athleticism or body rhythm, shape, size, and stuff like that. Talk a little bit about that philosophy. Like, I just got to find the swing that works for you. I can't make you look like Dustin Johnson.
Yeah. Growing up playing golf pretty avidly, I went through a lot of golf coaches. I went through cookie cutter golf coaches who believed in one thing. I went through other golf coaches who believed in another thing. And ultimately what ended up happening was, my body is my body and my body is different than your body. So how am I supposed to be teaching the same kind of thing to the same, to 10 different people? The great thing about golf is everyone is on their own journey, as corny as that sounds. And somebody might not want to be a scratch golfer, right? They might just want a golf swing change that could get them through this year and be able to beat their buddy at a money game. You know what I mean? So it's a little bit
Lawrence Brooks.
So for me, I really don't believe that there's one way to swing a golf club. I think that there are many ways to swing a golf club, and it also has a lot to do with how much work you're willing to put in as a student, right? So if you want to put in 5 days a week, great. Let's find a plan that will help you go that direction. If you can only get 1 day of practice in a week, though, right? I can't dump information on you and expect you to get it done. So that's kind of the way that I like to teach it. And so far it's worked. So far, so good.
So far, so good. I'm gonna get to Vernon in 1 second. I have one more. I have another question, Vernon. I want to go back a little bit to college, to Western Washington University, and you're talking about the Symetra Tour. I mean, you don't have to dive into like any specifics, but just like, what was that experience like competing in college and then being on the Symetra Tour and competing on that level?
Okay, so I personally did not love college golf.
Okay.
It was, it's like golf being an individual sport. And I think this is where my parents they went wrong with me, by the way. So I didn't grow up playing other sports. I mean, I was on a swim team, right? But that's not really a thing. So going from an individual person, like a golfer, right, to joining a team of women, you travel together every 2 weeks and play golf. was just not a thing for me. It was really tough. You know, different personalities, what have you, and all that. We're 19, 20 years old. And so that experience for me wasn't the best. Now I always recommend that if you want to play college golf, great. It's changed since then. Everything is very, very different now, but it wasn't the best experience for me. As far as playing went, I loved going to the different states and experiencing different golf courses and being able to play, but there was definite burnout because my golf team was a Division II team. So we were constantly flying in and out, and our university, unfortunately, was not the most supportive when it came to sports. And so it was really, really difficult to try to juggle both things. So at one point I was like, man, I really wish I was just a student and didn't do anything and just put golf on, on the back burner for a couple of years and then start up again. Cause it was literally just, trying to juggle what I needed to do for school and make sure I kept my scholarship. And then being able to travel every 2 weeks. And so it was a great experience. I'm learning how to become an adult. But as far as golf went, I wasn't a huge fan of what it did for my career, if that makes any sense.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And competing as a pro, well, how was that?
Oh dear God. It was you definitely have to put the repetitions in of playing, of competing. And because I was on a budget, I try to pick and choose what I could play and what I couldn't. And at the end of the day, it was always the players that were able to play 18 to 20 tournaments a year that would perform at Q School. And I knew that. I mean, first time I went, I knew that, right? So I'm out there, and of course, this is the worst thing you could think about in the middle of a fairway. You're like, oh crap, you're not cut out for this. You're not ready for this, right?
Yeah, that's not where you want to have that thought.
I know, it's terrible, right? But it's the truth. Like you can see it, and at least I could see it. I could see the difference in levels, skill levels, and how much people are practicing. And I think it's really helpful now as a coach to be able to decipher that, right, amongst my students now. Right. But it's it was definitely tough. And I think without a bankroll, it's especially in women's golf, it's very difficult to be able to get it going. So my mini tour days were cut pretty short. I also ended up with an injury, so that cut me short. And I think in some ways the higher power was telling me, hey, it's time for you to try a different route. Yeah. And I'm telling you, teaching could not have come more easily and smoothly, going through the PGA program, finishing up the LPGA program, and doing what I do now. So no regrets here. I still play competitively.
Sure.
And don't get me wrong, I'm very competitive. But
we may have to get around some of these Golf DMV tournaments. So there's a lot of people will hit us up and say, hey, can we talk about, can you come on the show and talk about the tournament? Can you guys broadcast after the tournament and play and stuff? And we'll do it. But the problem is we need a ringer. We don't have a ringer. We might have just found our ringer. Or
I think so. Yes.
A ringer rotation going on here. Okay, perfect. Vern.
So earlier you were talking about lessons not being a quick fix. There was a clip circulating on Instagram, for those who haven't seen it, of Butch Harmon, I believe, at a conference. Basically, I'm going to paraphrase, basically saying, 18 handicapper comes in, he gets a 30-minute lesson, it doesn't work immediately, and he tosses it out after a round or two. Where a pro or even a low-level pro will make a minor change to their swing, and they'll tell him it took me 6 months for that to feel comfortable. For you teaching amateurs, is there a common window? Is there a typical time frame where you're working with somebody and after they stick with it, they're practicing, and you see it click in after 3 months, 6 months, a year?
I think
or
that's
is it
a
different
really
per
great
person?
question. It is definitely different per person. Okay. I think most amateurs are looking for a quick fix, mainly because they're going to go out there tomorrow and play with their buddies, right? So that's the reason. So I always make it clear that if you want to improve, you have to be willing to go to the complete opposite end of the spectrum of what you're feeling right now. So whatever you're comfortable with right now in your golf swing, right? it's comfortable because you've practiced it and
Right.
you've played with it. But if
Right.
you're wanting to make a change, that change can't feel comfortable.
Mhm.
So we got to go from like, if I'm over here, right? If I'm on one end and I'm telling you, hey, your hands have to be a certain way or your wrists have to be a certain way, and your wrists are opposite of what that is right now, then you have to be willing to be uncomfortable and change that
Right.
until it does become comfortable. And I think that's where a lot of amateurs get into trouble is just they want instant gratification. I can give you like a quick fix. But I can guarantee you that quick fix won't last you more than 3 or 4 rounds max, right?
Yeah.
And then you're going to come back to me freaking out going, hey, like what just happened here? Well, you wanted a quick fix.
Right.
So so you can't come back at me and say, hey, you know, so it's definitely dependent on the person. It depends also on the skill level too.
Right.
Yeah, I think beginners tend to improve much quicker, right? Because they have more to learn. Versus a scratch golfer or even, you know, anywhere in the single digits. It just 1 or 2 extra strokes to try to eliminate just becomes that much harder.
Okay.
Man.
And the only other question I had was, can you talk about, and this goes, man, we're jumping back to the competitive golf. I asked, we had a APGA player, Joe Hooks, on here earlier. And for some reason, I'm still amazed when I talk to people who've played on mini tours, how they describe getting a competitive muscle. So there's a difference. So, you know, you can go out and shoot 67, for instance, but if I put you in a competition, that becomes, par or worse.
Yeah.
So can you talk about, there is something to actually competing, not just being good at golf, but learning to compete at golf that's different than just being good at it?
Oh, for sure. Well, I think one of the reasons why you'll see like a neighborhood pro, right? Somebody that just amazingly, you hear about this guy, right? He shoots amazing, but you never hear that he goes on tour, right? There's a huge difference when it comes to not only I think a lot of it has to do with the mental game. A lot of it has to do with the mental game, right? Because if you're playing with your buddies or you're playing with just, whoever it is versus, oh my gosh, there's actually something on the line now. You start going through some stuff internally. And you'll see a lot of that happening, right? Like you'll see a lot of guys vomit because they couldn't handle it. They couldn't they couldn't handle the pressure. And one thing that I don't see a lot or enough spotlight on when it comes to these tour players or, elite players is how much mental game practice they go through. I had no
idea that was a thing.
Wow.
Yeah. So like, sports psychology, that's a thing. Like in the case that Cathy Kim is in the middle of the fairway and she gets a thought of, you can't do this. What are you doing here? Right? How do you take that and turn that into something positive so you can finish out the round? Right? Versus, somebody like I know so many positive people off the course, but they're the second they're on the course, they turn into somebody else.
Right.
Is that you, Claude?
Honestly, I'm a very positive person, when things go bad consistently, I think you can tell when I see it. It's weird because these guys can vouch for it. It's weird because if I'm doing good and I want to focus in, I stop talking. But then when I'm upset, I think I also stop talking. Like I don't know. No, I talk more probably. The negativity.
You become very negative when you start going bad, and you can't bring it back.
He's not laughing at anybody's jokes, Cathy. He doesn't want to. He doesn't want to hear from you. And Claude's a very positive guy. Like now, LB is the opposite. LB is so cantankerous all the time. You can't tell when he's having a good round.
Yeah, we've got to figure out a way. If the first 3 holes aren't doing good, how can we convince Lawrence to put the flask back inside of the bag and not drink yet because there's still a lot of golf to play.
Keep hope alive.
Oh, man. I'm good.
I've got a couple more questions. I don't want to keep you too long.
Yeah, I got a couple as well.
Okay, go right ahead, LB.
Well, first question is, 1757, you said they had grass tees, but they were only for members. Is that what you said?
Yes.
Perks.
Okay. Shutting out the little man. Okay.
Get your wallet out, LB. Get your wallet out. Bring your money.
So I reached out to we have quite a few female listeners that listen to our show regularly. And I sent out a text earlier to get some of if anybody had any questions. And the one question that came back was, how can somebody prepare to take lessons who have no experience at all? And this is from a female listener. And how would they start? How would you suggest they start?
That is a fantastic question. So I always suggest that the student reach out to whoever they're interested in taking lessons from, and just ask them anything that they have, any kind of questions that they have. So anything from, hey, do I need to bring clubs? What should I wear? Where am I supposed to meet you? What should I be expecting when I get there? Because I don't know if this is more of a gender specific question, but usually women like to be prepared. Like we want to know from beginning to end exactly what is going to happen, right? And I want to make sure that I am dressed and prepared so I don't stick out like a sore thumb. And that's actually one of the bigger issues that female beginner golfers have anyway, right? Is just being self-conscious out when they're out on the golf course. So as a student or someone that's looking to seek out for lessons, just don't be afraid to ask the coach questions. They're going to be more than happy to answer them. And if they're not, find a new coach, because that sets kind of a precedent on what kind of lesson you're going to be getting. But most coaches are very, very open. There's no such thing as a stupid question, especially if it's your first time taking a lesson. And also be very specific on what you want to do for that first lesson. If it's a swing, if you're wanting to work on full swing versus your putting, make sure you tell them that. And you can't be any more specific like that. That's the thing that I love about being able to have a communication or open line with my students is I want to know, like, I want you to ask me questions. I want you to make sure that I know what you want, because I can't read your mind. And I don't want you end up going home wondering what just happened. So
because you have enough of that. You have enough of that after rounds once you start playing. Like, what in the world did I just do out there? It's ridiculous. I've been playing for too long. I've been spending too much money and time. It's so funny because we got this thing among our group where and Vern brought this up. Like, if there were aliens seeing from outer space us playing golf on a random weekday evening round or weekend round, they would look down and say, what crime did these humans commit to where this capital punishment of them having to chase this thing, because they look miserable, and we have to explain to them we're actually having a good time despite the fact that we seem very frustrated and upset. There's nothing else we'd rather do right now than this. It's not capital punishment. We're having a good time. Go ahead, LP.
Yeah, my final question for you, Cathy, is so I heard you say earlier you're originally from California. So how long have you been here, and have you played any Maryland courses, and which one would you highlight as your favorites that you've played in Maryland?
So I've been here for almost 2 years now, maybe a little over 2 years now. I am so ashamed to say that I still don't know where the Virginia-Maryland line is when it comes to going to and coming from and going to, right? Kind of going back and forth across the line.
If you go across a bridge, it's Maryland.
Yeah, for the most part. Yeah, I mean that. Yeah, for no matter where you go. Yeah. Whether you go through Tyson's Hill. Yeah.
Well, so normally when I'm playing golf, I go with my husband, and my husband's been here for about 10 years. So he just kind of drives, and we're there. Right. So if you drop me anywhere in the state, you can drop me 5 minutes away from where I live now, I would not be able to find my way home without a cell phone. So let's see, Maryland golf courses. Is Whiskey Creek in Maryland?
Yes. That is. Yes.
Mm-hmm. So Whiskey Creek is a great golf course.
Yeah.
Really enjoy it.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. The greens were awesome. The views are so cool. Yeah. And let's see, where else?
We've got really got Todd Good. No.
Yeah. Have you played Blue Mash?
I haven't. I haven't.
Okay. All right. It's not far. It's not far from Whiskey Creek.
Okay. Yeah. You know what? I'm gonna stop myself there because I really don't even. Piney Branch, is that Maryland?
Yes, it is. But that's a little 9-hole course. Is that?
No, it's an 18-hole course. Okay. I couldn't remember if it was in Maryland or Virginia, but it's a small little country club.
Okay.
Freaking the hardest greens I had ever putted on.
Wow.
Not the longest golf course, but they're so sloped. The greens are so sloped and so fast.
Oh wow, yeah.
Upper
Cove, Maryland. Piney Branch Golf.
Okay.
Trenton,
Maryland,
Okay.
Yeah, we have MAPGA events out there. So Yeah.
To be fair, when I
that
said uppercut, Kathy, you notice the blank expression on all their faces. Because none of we're over here like, hey, well, where's the Maryland
way out
courses?
there.
And then you say one, and then everybody's just like.
That brings me to a point though. You being a PGA professional, you can play. I'm assuming you can get on courses that we probably could not get on. So do you have privileges? How does that work being a professional like that? Can you go to courts and say, hey, I want to play and here's my credentials, and they let you in where if I come up, they go, hey, get out of here, bum.
Theoretically, yes. We definitely have either like an industry rate or we can call and introduce ourselves. And it's actually a great way to meet other professionals. I personally don't I don't take advantage of it as much as I should, mainly because I don't know. I don't know what it is about that, but calling in ahead and being like, hey, can you comp my round? Right. It's a little bit of a
that
thing
call
for me.
Do you know who I am?
I don't know. We may need to coach you up on that. We're going to change that. We're going to coach you up into how to use that card to get it wherever you want to play, Kathy. You should be able to use that.
Remove all shame. Just roll up to congressional and just be like, just flash your card to Cathy Kim.
Well, so yes, the short answer is yes. I could probably get into most of the courses that you cannot because I'm in the industry. But whether it actually happens or not, right? That's a different story.
Okay.
So, yeah.
You know, it's interesting. You had mentioned something earlier, and I wanted to ask a question about it. So you had talked about, getting into coaching and instructing, and you were saying how there's not a lot of women doing it, and also not a lot of Asian women. But it's odd to me because the LPGA Tour is being ran by Asian women. I mean, they are killing it, and they've been killing it for years. How do you see? So I imagine, especially as hard as it is to become a professional, I'm sure that if there are a lot of Asian women who are killing it in the LPGA right now, there's got to be tons who are killing it and not necessarily making it to the LPGA Tour. How come you don't think that doesn't transition into the amount of Asian women who are coaching?
I wonder the same thing. I don't know if it's like a Korean thing because I'm Korean. So I don't know if it's a Korean thing, but it's like if you are going to be a golfer and a competitive golfer, you better believe that you're going to make it on tour or else you failed.
That sounds about right.
Right. So it's like all or nothing. And I think by the time a lot of women figure out that they can't do it, like they're just either burnout or it wasn't for them or whatever it was, right? It's already too late. Like they don't want anything to do with golf at that point.
Okay.
So I personally know a couple women who were amazing golfers. Like they could have killed it on the tour, but they either got burnout and so they decided to turn to like some sort of hospitality job or with, totally different job, or they wanted out. So I think with a lot of like UNLV, for example, I think is a great program. They have a PGM program out there. And I definitely see a lot of Asian women, collegiate women that are going through that program now to become PGA professionals, which I think is fantastic. I think there needs to be more of us. But yeah, that's actually a really good point that you make. LPGA Tour is bombarded with South Koreans and Korean Americans.
And they're so good. And one thing that frustrates me is that the LPGA for a few years have been trying to find a few faces of the tour almost. And I'm like, you've got and for one reason or the other, whatever the reason, they don't pick like the Asian women who are killing it. You know what I mean? It's like, well, she should be the face of the tour and this person should be the face of the tour, but they go for certain people and it's like,
no, Danielle, like you say all the time, Clyde, like Danielle is just so good in front of the camera and personable and funny. Like why? Like seems like an obvious choice, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, and then MD Park's been killing it for so long. I mean, it's so many of them just so good, and you're like, well, these should be the faces because they're winning. But they go in different directions. It's weird.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not weird. We know what the deal is, but
we know what the deal is.
We said it without saying it. Yes.
I'm trying to be on my best behavior.
I understand. We got to guess
because we had the January 6th stuff at the Capitol. We had a tough year in 2020 with George Floyd stuff. So we had but anyway, I'm trying to be on my best behavior. So real quick, going to get you out of some rapid fire stuff. So fashion is a huge discussion on our show. And so there's a few things, some of it's personal validation for me. I don't mean to stage the question this way to try to sway your opinion one way or the other. But on the course, wearing the jogger fitted pants, yes or no?
On men, we talk about on men.
Oh, on men. Okay, on men.
Yes, yes.
Eric Van Ruyen, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm indifferent.
Okay.
I'm indifferent.
Okay.
It doesn't offend you.
Okay, hold on a second. Hold on. It doesn't offend me. I think the only time that it would offend me is if you show up to a top 100 golf course, and you're wearing
dressed like a clown. Yeah.
Tell her how you really feel, Abby.
So you can tell which one of us is for it and which one's not.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think whatever makes you comfortable, and that's actually a big, fashion is a big thing of player development as well, and bringing people in and engaging people into the game. If you don't make it accessible, right, then they're not going to want to play. So whatever works for you is great, but I think that there's a place and a time for joggers.
Okay. What about the golf? What about the golf hoodie? The hoodie with, when you've got the cut.
Yeah, Danielle was wearing one. Danielle King was wearing one the last tournament, and she made it kind of cool. So, I mean, once again, I don't know if I would want to be caught, at a top 100 club wearing a hoodie, but 1757, I'm fine.
Yeah. Well, not my style to correct guess, but I was wearing that before Danielle. I think I made it cool and influenced her. But you're a first time guest. I don't want to be mean, but I just wanted to throw that little correction out. Another fashion question: Byrne has 12 pairs of Jordans golf shoes. Is that too many, or is it like that?
I mean, why would it be too many? They're all different colors, right?
Yes.
Are they all different colors?
Of course.
Yes, they are all different colors. High tops, low tops.
If I have black pants, that's one. And if I have slightly less black pants, I need another set of Jordans. That's what it is. That's what it is.
All right. So you've got to play around, Cathy, and you can only take 4 clubs with you. What 4 are you taking?
Oh Lord, definitely a driver.
All right.
Because I don't hit it very far. Definitely a wedge, probably some sort of like long iron, and what else? I don't know. I'm kind of between a putter and maybe a 5-wood or something like that.
Just putt with the wood.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
With the wood.
Yeah.
Like
Exactly. Yeah.
I like
Okay. Yeah. I was thinking putting with a wedge is fine too. So that would double over too.
Okay. So Coach Cathy Kim is coaching Cathy Kim. All right. What do you say to yourself? What's the one area of the game that Coach Cathy Kim is going to force Cathy Kim to work on? And what does Coach Cathy say to student Cathy?
Coach Cathy would tell student Cathy, your expectations are too high. So let's start by getting real, right? And just take a step back and think about how often you actually practice. And then go out there and manage your expectations.
No, listen. This is why I feel like Cathy Kim and Golf DMV is like a match in heaven, because that answer right there is what we almost tell ourselves all the time. Like we'll get I'll get frustrated, and Lawrence will say, "When was the last time you actually literally picked up a club claw? Like when was the last time you practiced?" I'm like, "Oh well, maybe it was a week and a half ago." It's like, so why are you upset? Of course you didn't get any better. You haven't been practicing. That's exactly what. No, that's.
I'll pull up to the course with literally 30 seconds to tee time, run out there in the cold and just hit the front 9 is like, double bogey. And I'm like, man, I don't understand why I got such a late start. Cold start. Bars in there, you know what I mean? Yeah.
You're not alone there, Vern. You're not alone.
I promise we get you out in 30. It's been delightful. Promise you'll come back on the show at some point and we'll talk some more golf and kind of hang out. This is great. Thank you. I really appreciate it, Cathy.
Awesome. Thanks so much, guys.
Again, everybody, for more information on Cathy Kim, you can go to her website, Cathy Kim Golf. I think we'll have her back on the show. Go ahead, Lawrence.
Yeah, I wanted to add in to the folks. After we finished the interview with Cathy, I asked her a question off air. And after I asked the question, she said, "Oh, you should have asked that question on there," because she thought it was a good question. I was a little skeptical about asking it initially because it was I don't want to be rude.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Well, do you want to say what that question was?
Yes, I'm about to say that.
Well, preface it with the fact that that the question just wasn't coming from you. There was a female who listens to the show who asked you to ask this question. Okay.
Yes. So yeah. So one of our listeners.
This is Lawrence
it wasn't
wondering.
coming from me. So one of our listeners had reached out to some of our listeners who are female and told them that we were going to have a female instructor on, and this question I was supposed to relay, but I did not. And the question was, as a female taking, and these ladies have never played golf before and are interested in taking lessons. And their question was, how do they play? Do they swing and not get their breasts in the way? It's basically the question. It's the nicest way I can say it. Because a couple of them are top heavy, if you know what I mean. Right. So
we do.
And Cathy was like, that's a very good question. And again, she said she wished I had asked her on the air. And her answer was that you can work around. I mean, obviously people, ladies on the LPGA, they deal with this on a daily basis and they're very good at it. So it's just a matter of the way you, I think the way at least the way I understood it, it's just the way you use your arms and your biceps. You kind of basically squeeze them in, I believe, and come around that way. But yeah, so the long and short of it is, yes, it doesn't hinder your golf swing at all. It's just a matter of how you swing with them.
And Cathy, you know, she said that that's a huge deal, and a lot of women don't even want to talk about it, even with a female instructor. Like,
they're self-conscious about it.
Yeah, she was like, you know, and so, I think she said that she opens up a lot of her women's clinics just like that when there are a lot of first-time golfers in like these women groups. And she said, okay, let's just get the boobs out the way, and that's how she said she opens it, and she's like, it's like a little bit of chuckle, and everybody just feels so relieved because they're wondering that thing. Yeah, and so that's the kind of inside information, ladies and gentlemen, you get right here on Golf DMV.
We'll definitely have her back on the show so she can answer. You did a good job, LB. You did a good job.
Tried.
Me and LB, me and Claude just left you out there on the island. I just want to see how long we was going to sit back and just let you keep going fumbling. Because
the only thing I wanted to do was make sure that the question was set up right. Like, who's
because anatomy, you see. Help me out here, Claude. God damn it. You see, because what they got. I was like, I didn't want you to jump in. I was like, no, just let him go. Just let him flounder. Let him sit.
He'll figure it out.
Let's see.
Be a good teammate.
There it is.
Sink or swim, man. Sink or swim.
There it is. All right, folks. We'll be back at some point. We'll be back next week, obviously, and we'll talk about the Pebble Beach situation and anything else in the golf world that's happening. Hopefully, Patrick Reed or Bryson DeChambeau does something ridiculous, and and we'll talk about it next week on Golf DMV.